everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here to talk about all of the fall movies. So this is very exciting. Fall into Love is the current moniker that they've given it. And we're talking about that and the movies on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries that they have had in the last couple of months. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. And Hannah is here with me from One Kiss Means Forever. And thank you so much, Hannah, for coming on doing this.
Thanks for having me. It gives me something to do.
Yeah.
It's a little sad that my co-host Katie can't be here, but it's, she's got a very, very busy life, so she hasn't gotten to watch anything. So
Understandable. It's a busy time this fall. Lots of stuff going on. But what are your all's plans as far as the holiday coverage? What are you
we as we've done for the past 4 years or however long we've been around, we are going to a weekly schedule starting, I guess, next week or the week after the first Christmas drops.
Yep.
And we're going to keep our standard format, but we'll just have more, and they'll all be Christmas themed. And I can tell you from the ones we've already recorded, some we really like and some not so much.
So you've got some that you've recorded on previous releases.
No, we've just been trying to bank our time.
Oh, so you already
these are all new, but
you got access to them?
Well, they're not new movies, they're new episodes. So
right.
They're older movies that we could watch.
Right. Okay, good. Yeah. Well, that'll be great. I'll look forward to that. That'll be fun.
So some of them are really, really fun. Some of them are absolute bananas, and some of them didn't stand the test of time.
Yeah. Hey, it takes all types of movies, right? And you're not going to like everything. And these ones that we're going to talk about, there's some that I liked and some that I didn't like, and everything in between. Overall, when last time we had you on was for June Weddings, which was so fun with Katie. And do you think that these movies, and then even this, summer movies, do you think that it's been a strong block, or what do you think overall?
I think so. Katie and I have been in agreement for years that fall tends to have the best block. Just fall movies tend to be better than a lot of the other ones. Very, very blanket statement.
Yeah.
So I have felt that this crop of fall movies is definitely not as strong as other years have been, but stronger than June Weddings for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Or like spring movies.
I had really low expectations for all of them, basically. Maybe like one or two I was like, oh, maybe not, maybe I'm excited about that one. And so most of them I was pleasantly surprised, even if I didn't love the movie.
I'm excited for the holidays to get started, and I feel like Hallmark's been holding back, and their Christmas in July movie was, in my opinion, the Take Me Back for Christmas was so excellent that it definitely set the bar high.
Yeah, so we'll see what we get. I mean, I know we've talked on the internet about some of these movie posters, which are like, what is happening?
Yeah. I have to say, one thing that really annoys me is that, so the posters have been pretty terrible, but also they got a lot of flack a couple of years ago. There was a meme going around that of the all the posters looking the same with the red and green couple in like the prom pose. But I feel like as a response to that, like they don't even look like they're in love on most of these posters. They're like,
they don't look like they're
barely touching each other.
Oh, I was gonna say they're separate photos.
They're shot in like different places. I mean, it just looks like they don't even like each other. I'm like, give me back the prom poses. I like those better.
It's very strange, but
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Anyway, well, let's get started. And we're actually probably starting with my least favorite of.
Oh, we're definitely starting with my least favorite.
Yeah, my least favorite of the group, it was pretty bad, is Love in the Great Smoky Mountains, a National Park romance on Hallmark Channel. This starred Ariel Kebbel and Zach Roning, director Danny J. Boyle, writer Bruce D. Johnson. Its former sweethearts reunite at an archaeological dig in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. As they work together, competing for the same research grant, they discover they might still have feelings for one another. And there were things that I did like about this. I thought they had genuine chemistry. I thought they were a good match, and I'd like to see them in other stuff. I mean, I like Ariel Kebbel, and it was pretty, and it did look like they shot a bit in the Smoky Mountains. I've never been there, but it didn't look like Canada to me. I'm like, if we're gonna have a national park romance, can we please not shoot the movie in another nation?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Is that too much to ask? And so that I did think it was really pretty, but I had major problems with the screenplay. It was, yeah. I mean, the main problem is that these two people should not have been telling this story. They should not. These were not they should have been focusing on the other characters, the Native American characters, who their acting was a little weak, but they're the ones that had the compelling arc.
I believe I called this movie, at least to Katie, white saviorism, the movie. Because it was just like, we're the white people and we are going to find the thing that's like,
yeah.
I mean, granted, all of these national park movies have sort of been like that, which is why I don't like this series that they're doing. Yeah. It makes me uncomfortable.
But this one, it was, at least in some of the other ones, like the person is a legit newcomer to the area. This one was especially groan worthy because you're supposed to buy that these archaeologists who have PhDs, like they're majorly educated people, that they don't know about the Trail of Tears, that they never heard of, like,
well, there was that
an arrowhead is. I mean, come on.
Like, as somebody who's like archaeology knowledge is like maybe a step above Indiana Jones. Like, we are not talking like I know what I'm talking about at all.
Right.
I was just like, you definitely don't do archaeology like this. Like, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel thought out. Like, they are digging with shovels. I know you don't do that. You go very slowly. Yeah. It just felt very like, no one will notice. It's fine. And it was like glaring in that way.
Even the archaeologicals, I would have been fine with that. But the fact that they have like multiple scenes where they literally sit down, these professionals, these educated people, and sit down and say, we're going to tell you about the experience of Native Americans, and that they would not know. And and then there were some, oh, really?
Yeah, it was bad.
Come on.
The other thing, I went in bothered about this, so that's sort of where I'm coming from this as. But I felt like this screenplay forgot or was not adapted to be shown or put on Hallmark
Mm-hmm.
because her name in this movie is Haley James. And I feel like
I
the
saw people
Hallmark,
online complaining about that.
yeah, the Hallmark and One Tree Hill overlap is large. And you just shouldn't, like, that wasn't, I just felt like should have thought about that. And I was like, no, we're not on board for her.
I could see if they were like, oh, wink, wink. Like if Ariel was she on One Tree Hill? Was there any connection at all?
If that character had been played by Bethany Joy Lenz, then maybe it would have been a wink, wink. But the fact that it wasn't and there was nothing there, I was like, no.
Yeah, or if the character had something to do with archaeology or, then maybe I could, see it. But
and all they had to do was like even like ADR in like Jane as her last name, and I would have been fine. Like, and I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. And like,
yeah. And the other thing, and this is something that's happening more and more with Hallmark, is that these two actors were too old for these roles. These roles were obviously written for somebody just out of school, just starting their careers. They had this back history when they were in like interns or whatever, and
in college or something.
Yeah, and this was like her first job. And I'm sorry, she's what, like 40 something?
Yeah,
Ariel Kebbel. Like it just doesn't fit the character. If you'd had an actress in their 20s, then that would have made sense. And Hallmark desperately needs to recruit new talent. These people that they got that have been making these movies for 20 years are now aging out of these roles, and I love them, and I have no problem them telling mature love stories. And that's great. Like the one that Terry Hatcher did last year was really good. The 51. That was really good. But so I fully support that, but that's not what they're doing. They're taking scripts meant for 20-year-olds and they're casting them with 40-year-olds. And I'm beginning to notice it's distracting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Every once in a while when there's like a new person on that or somebody that they don't use very often, it'll be like, oh, look how young they are.
Yeah, like the youngest that they really have is someone like Amy Teagarden.
Yeah,
she's in she's 33.
Early, like that, yeah. 32, 33 probably. They have younger guys. They have a few.
Yeah. I don't know. That's something you need to work on. You're listening, Hallmark. You need to fix that because it's going to hurt your whole network. And I tell you, if they want to have some great talent they can recruit from, watch Prom Pact that was on Disney Channel this year. One of the best movies of this year. I will fight anybody on that. It was excellent and just loaded with incredibly charismatic, wonderful young talent.
There's plenty of young talent. They just need to find it. Yeah,
and
I agree.
And I think every single person in that, maybe not Milo, but everybody else, I think is totally gettable for Hallmark in Prom Pact. So they should watch it. It's really good. But this, I mean, I did generally like their chemistry. So it wasn't like painful. Some of these national parks ones have been, but it was pretty bad, especially that Trail of Tears scene was uncomfortable. So I give it 2 crowns.
I think I'm right around there with you, maybe even as low as 1.5, but that's this was definitely my least favorite of the season.
Really?
Just like,
they've been bad. It's too bad because I love the national parks. Like it's a fun idea in theory, but they just have not been working out.
Well, the thing is, they keep wanting to tell these Native American stories, which is great, but then put Native Americans in it.
Yeah, like have a Native American in the lead.
I don't need these blonde white ladies to do these do this. Like I'm done with blonde white ladies. Discover nature.
Yeah, I'm telling. They should look at Shannon Baker, who's in Mixed Baggage. She's Native Canadian, and absolutely great. And her movie would do super well because she's got like a huge social media following. So they should, that would be great. They should do that. But if only I ran Hallmark. Anyway, so next we have Fourth Down and Love in this Hallmark channel, and it's Pascal Hutton, Ryan Pavey, director Alan Harmon, writer Julie Sherman Wolfe, follows a single mother and a pro football player as they meet again on her daughter's flag football field as his career is interrupted by an injury. And what did you overall think of this one?
I had incredibly low expectations.
Mhm.
Football is not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a sports person. I didn't see it being for me. I
Mhm.
was pleasantly surprised. I liked it a lot better than I thought I was going to. I don't think it was perfect. It wasn't my favorite movie of all time, but I definitely thought that they added something in there with the all girls flag football team and this like feminism aspect that I enjoyed, watching these kids like, come into their own, and to have this Mike character kind of be like, oh yeah, no, I actually like this coaching thing too. Like maybe I don't have to be like a football player for the rest of my life. There's something there.
Yeah.
So, it was sweet.
Yeah, I had pretty low expectations too, because I just wasn't feeling the chemistry between the two of them. And it wasn't like amazing, but it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about football, and I mean, obviously I've seen a little bit of it, but I don't know like the intricacies of, and our friend Becky, she was watching and she was like, this is terrible, this is so inaccurate. And that's totally valid. It's just not like,
Right.
it seemed all
I'm not
fine
gonna
to
pick
me.
up
I was
on
like,
yeah.
okay, he's injured now, and now he's, recovering, and what do I know? But anyway, I think it was elevated by Julie Sherman Wolfe's script. I
I
mean,
think that's probably true.
she's the best. She's a great writer, and the banter. I think the supplementary characters were really strong. I liked the what was it? It's been a little while since I saw this one, but Dan Payne, and Steve Bassick, they were fun. And so overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and I was I thought that she navigated a lot of tropes that normally I'm like, ugh. Like I was just waiting for the scene where he's at the game or whatever, or giving some kind of presentation, is like, oh, I've got to make the big game, and leave my career, and I hate that, and the overworked like dad or male kind of figure, that trope is one I really hate. And so I was kind of waiting for that, and I thought she navigated that really well, so it wasn't too cringe, and he still was able to he still went to the game, and she was like a little annoyed, but she got over it, and she wasn't like unreasonable like sometimes they are, like so overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute.
I thought it was cute. I'm not the biggest Pascal Hutton fan. Just, she just doesn't quite do it for me in the same way some of the other leading ladies do. But, I found her relatively charming in this. So like I thought, I believed this character. And, speaking of as like the people who are too old for their parts, I appreciate it that she's old enough to have like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Because she is. She absolutely is. And it's not weird that she has this kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I do love Pascal. She is like the saving grace of When Calls the Heart. Maybe that's too strong. She is by far my favorite character on When Calls the Heart. So
I don't watch the show, and that might be part of it.
That helps a lot. A lot. She brings so much energy and humor and everything to that show. And so I am kind of she's very endearing to me, attached to her as an actress. But I don't always love her. Like I actually was kind of an outlier on The Perfect Bride. I did not love those movies. And so
I also I'm not a huge Kevin Smith fan either.
So the Coulters in general, you're not a fan of.
When you put the two of them together, I'm like, oh God, I'm so not in. I'm not here. I'm
That's
unhappy. But
because there's such a beloved part of When Calls the Heart. So
I'm aware of that, and because I don't watch that show, and I've elected to not watch that show because I just don't need the drama in my life. It's like,
that's just interesting though to hear that perspective on the chemistry, because we all, I think some of us come in already sort of biased that they have great chemistry because they have
right
such good
and to me I'm just like I don't see
you
what
don't see it.
Like I'm just like, I know this is all coming from When Calls the Heart, and that's all I know about it because it doesn't come to the movies for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I give this one like a 3.5.
I would agree. Yeah.
All right, so then we have Notes of Autumn and the Hallmark Channel. Ashley Williams, Luke McFarlane, Peter Porte, Marcus Rosner, director Troy Scott, writer Rick Garman. Ellie, a pianist, gave up her passion and works for a hotel. Leo, a famous author with writer's block who can't finish his highly popular book series. They both decide to swap places, ending up completely lost in new surroundings. And this was exciting for a lot of us because it's to see Luke McFarlane and get to play a gay character. Was really, really exciting, and I was happy for him. And of course Peter Porte as well.
Yes.
And of course we love Marcus and Ashley, so great, the cast. I mean, going into it, and I love Rick Garman. He's a really good writer. So all of that made me pretty hyped for it. And I also thought the marketing was really strong on it. And I ended up really loving it. I thought it was very strong. And I know a lot of people said, I could do without the Ashley and Marcus plot, which, everyone's opinions. But for me, I really connected to all four of them because I am a freelancer. I'm always trying to kind of figure out the next gig and figure out how to make things work. And sometimes it feels like sort of my creative ambitions are a fantasy. Like, am I going to be able to support myself? I was trying out the substitute teaching. I think the day I saw this, I had done it for the first time, or had close to. And so I don't know, I just connected with where all four of these characters were in their life. And I just thought it was so charming, so romantic. I just loved it. And I've said for so long that I think that Ashley Williams should have picked Marcus Rosner in Christmas and Evergreen. And so the fact that there were a couple in this one, I was like, yes, see? And so I loved it. I thought it was great.
I did. I agree. This was the one where I was definitely like the most hyped, the most like excited, even if I didn't have like an emotional attachment to the fact that it's Luke McFarlane and Peter Porte, which I do, just having gay characters makes me really excited. The only thing I would say is I wish we had a significant, like, the part that I like felt was missing for me was the friendship between Luke and Ashley, because they seemed like they had a great friendship, but we didn't actually get to see it. And I feel like that would have been really fun. And it's because they're not together throughout the movie. Like, they barely spend a scene together.
But if you compare, I don't know if you got a chance to watch, I think it was Your Place or Mine or whatever with Ashton Kutcher and Reese this year. It was the same idea. That was terrible. And so this whole plot can go so bad. And but they managed to have, I think, enough connection between the two of them, enough time that I feel that friendship. But I agree. I mean, I would, I wish this could have been like a mini, like we could have gotten multiple episodes, because I was invested in all four characters.
Right. I think what it really comes down to is it wasn't long enough.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be because there are time constraints. And I almost like, you know what I would have actually liked, now that I'm like talking it through, I would have liked that's sort of like that, what was it? The Love Club.
Oh yeah.
Where like
Yes.
where you get one story.
I wish this was the wedding veil.
Yeah, like you get a whole story, but like there are side characters that then get their own story.
Yeah.
In another, like that would have been fun to have a Peter Porte, Luke McFarlane movie and a separate but connected Ashley Williams, Marcus Rosner movie.
Yeah,
I think that would have solved all my problems.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That could have been fun, but I still just thought it was so charming, and I liked, Marcus pushing her to perform again, and after she sort of set it aside, and I liked the whole journey of Luke writing his new book, and him in the end getting the publisher to publish it. And I loved when Ashley finds his first chapter, and she's like, he's in love with you.
Well, I was a little disappointed that he still had to continue the story that he was very done with, as well. I was a little bit like, don't force a man, like if this is so popular and he doesn't have any more in him, I bet you can get him a ghostwriter for the rest of them. Like he doesn't need to be involved. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, and it's clearly like sucking his will to live out of him.
But that was fun. Speaking of Pascal and Kevin, that was fun.
That was very fun. I did very much enjoy that.
Yeah, that was a fun little surprise.
But like I just felt a little bad. I was like, I don't like that he has this, like, finally the idea, the inspiration, and people are like, maybe.
Yeah.
No one's excited, and I'm like,
But I absolutely loved the scene in this movie where they're subtly trying to figure out that each other is single.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you're divorced, right? And so you did, the way that they were like, that whole conversation I thought was really well written.
Yeah.
And obviously the Peter Porte character is sort of more experienced in dating, and obviously been divorced, but and then Luke McFarlane's character, small town, small dating pool. And he's like, oh, so you're not dating anybody either. I hit in. That whole thing was really cute, and there were a lot of fun scenes, and I loved when Peter had read his books, and he's like, he was so excited, like visually excited about it. And they had incredible chemistry, the two of them.
I loved it. I really have to, every time I see Peter on screen, I get very excited. I'm like, I love seeing you. I love that you work.
Yeah. I mean, it seems wrong that somebody should be that handsome. He is just so.
He's also, I mean,
he's very talented too, but he is.
Yeah, he's talented and he's beautiful, but also like he's a little like.
But he's
got a personality to him.
Like, well, yeah, I mean, because Peter, it's hard to pair him with somebody because he is so gorgeous that like putting him with, it's hard to find like a coupling that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And they did, because Luke McFarlane, of course, perfect. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was just
works
really
great. No problem. Don't have and also like Ashley Williams. I mean, every once in a while they'll miscast her and put her in something that I'm like, this is not you.
Yeah.
This is the kind of character I want her to be, like a chaotic mess who is always happy. Like that's the character I want her in, and she does it so well. And she's like, and this was the kind of character that was, where she's a bit flighty, but whatever.
Yeah, but she's
just
feeling kind of depressed. There was like a little bit of nuance to her in this.
Sure.
And and she's such a good friend. Like I said, I absolutely just love that scene where she's reading it and she's like, oh,
yeah. I mean, she's so, but like, you know, when she tries to like climb his like door to get a spare key, like
oh
that's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
that it
Well,
just
to me, the ultimate is Love on a Limb. That's the one where she loses me. It's just she's just too much.
no,
I can't.
no. But like when I think of her
No.
and like what she can do, it's October Kiss. Like that's her
Yeah,
character,
agreed.
like to her bones.
Yeah, no, agree. I agree.
And I
but
feel like this was an extenuation.
Yeah. I loved this movie. I would watch it over and over again. I would tell anybody, even if they don't watch Hallmark, I would tell them to watch this movie. I've recommended it to friends. I hope they get it on the streaming so people can watch it that missed it. I give it, I mean, it's not perfect, but like in the realm of how I look at these movies, I'm giving it a full 5 crowns. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I'm not quite there, but I would definitely give it a 4.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
It was definitely a solid fall Hallmark movie. Made me happy.
Yeah, and I have recommended people that aren't Hallmarkies and they've enjoyed it. So yeah. All right, so then we have Retreat to You and Hallmark Channel, Amelia Ulra, Peter Mooney, director Terry Ingram, writers Aaron Fisher and Haley Frazier. And it's Abby and Sean used to be best friends. Years later, they meet again at a retreat. And when they get separated from the group while hiking, they must work together to find their way back. So I'm curious. I'll have you go first on this one. What do you think?
So when I first saw, I guess, the commercials or something, I was like, didn't she already do this movie?
Yeah.
That was my first thought, was that one she did with
the retreat one. Yeah,
right, the glamping one.
Yep.
So it was already kind of there. I was surprised. There were some like twists and turns I didn't quite see coming, you know, like the fact that they really do get lost out there, which I don't really understand as a concept, because like how far could they have possibly gotten?
Yeah.
But like if we're putting aside logic and the fact that doesn't hold up very well, and they have to be lost in the woods for like 2 days.
Or that they couldn't be found. It's kind of ridiculous. Nobody
about. It's, I mean, there's a lot of like nobody's looking for them, and then like no one like, I mean, this is when you call like park rangers. I don't know what is. There's a lot of like in the real world. We're talking liability. We're talking, there's like a lot of things that I have a lot of questions about. But like I was, a little bit fearful of this movie. It did exceed my expectations. I don't think it was perfect by any means. It definitely had some really weird choices that they made. It was such there was a lot of choices where like I really liked the character of like, and her like snark that she had going on, and because I was like, I relate to this a lot. But then like they seemed also incompetent and a little like childish in a way where I was like, why?
Well, I have to say, I also went into it with very low expectations, and so I think that maybe helped because of that other retreat movie, which wasn't that good.
No.
And I was thoroughly entertained by this. Yes, it has logical problems. It really doesn't make sense that they could get lost like that. But I just thought it was very well written. And I totally want to have these writers on, because I think this is their first project or one of their first projects, because they elevated this thing. It was funny. I was laughing throughout. Her snark, their banter between the two of them was funny. It was really funny.
It was fun. I will agree. It was funny. It had one of the earliest kisses.
Yes. And not just like a kiss. It was like
yes. They went for it. Like,
yeah, they did
a lot.
They really did.
It was like, whoa, hi. I was tweeting this movie and I said, like, it is 8:29 was my tweet.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
What?
I thought they had this great chemistry. And I also appreciated the fact that because one of the things that's been annoying me lately is the whole, what, we live in different places, our love is doomed. Like, that conflict is so boring to me. I mean, nobody in the world would be like, I am in love with this human being. I'm not good, but I live in a different place. So that's it. We're doomed.
Right.
Like,
and
you just move. Like, movie sucks. I get it. But like, and I feel like for so long we kind of grumbled and complained when the script expected the woman to leave the life in the city for the guy that she'd known for 2 weeks.
Right.
But their sort of pushback on that is to now make it this like impenetrable barrier that like nobody can solve, which is not satisfying either. And so I was so happy at the end when he was just like, I could move to LA.
Yeah.
I don't need to be here. Let's do it.
Yeah. I really appreciated that. I appreciated him, but like, yeah, I was living like in this town because my mom was there and she has since passed. And like, that's it. Like,
that's
period.
What grown-ups would do.
Yeah. There was a little bit of a like, whoa, maybe like hold off like another 2 weeks and like maybe make sure that this is going to last. But sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, yes.
Well, and she was being like foolish, the way that she like, she was like holding him responsible for something stupid he did when he was in high school. And it's like, come on, let's move on. Like, it
was a little bit of a like, guys, it's been
a lot of the other stuff I thought was really
years.
I loved her friend and the little relationship with the chef. I thought that was really cute and fun.
I thought that was cute. I especially loved when she hid the sign-up sheet so she could have her own private class. I was like, I'm into this. I like this girl. I like her a lot.
And then the retreat director, I thought he was funny.
Yeah. They had good characters. I mean, it's just, and granted, I'm sure there's some sort of like how to write a Hallmark script out there. So
if you are listening, Erin Fisher, Haley Fraser, they don't have their emails on IMDb Pro, but if you're listening, I'm going to try to find them because now that their strike, writer's strike is done, I would love to talk to them because it was so impressive because it's got the same ingredients as so many other. It's not really that different than The Love of Smoky Mountain as far as it's basically the same plot.
It's very similar, except there's no like,
but with an actual good script. It's just amazing what a difference it makes when you've got that banter and you've got the chemistry and you've got that. I don't know. It was such a pleasant surprise. I was having a bad day and I was just like, ugh. And then I sit down and I'm like, this is so funny. I really enjoyed it. It made me very happy. So I think both of these Notes of Autumn and Retreat to You, I want to do like full on standout deep dive episodes because I just really enjoyed them both. And I wouldn't go quite as high on this one as Notes of Autumn, but I'd still go pretty high. I would give it like a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done for what it was.
I think I'm at about a 3.75 on it. So yeah, I agree. It gets pretty high marks for me.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's our friend Jenny Hale. She has a new book coming out called Meet Me at Christmas. From the USA Today bestselling author of the book to TV stories Coming Home for Christmas and Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses, with over 1 million copies of her books sold, Jenny Hale brings you Meet Me at Christmas. This is a heartwarming holiday read that will have you rushing to your loved ones this Christmas. Traveling researcher Stella Fisher is called home to her family's farmhouse to help her mother through the first Christmas without her father. When Stella arrives, she doesn't expect to find Henry Dutton, the man she left behind. As she could guess after her heartbreaking exit so many years ago, he isn't speaking to her. What she doesn't realize, however, is there's a much bigger reason for his unfriendly reception. She quickly becomes the one person he believes can fix everything, but she isn't sure about that. She thought she'd buried her past, yet the look in his alluring blue eyes brings it all right back to the surface. If you enjoyed the Christmas movies based on Jenny's books and are looking for more feel-good small town romance, look no further. You can find more about Meet Me at Christmas at it's jennyhell.com, at harpethroad.com, or use the affiliate link below. And we have A Very Venice Romance, a Hallmark channel. This is Stephanie Leonidas and Raniero Monaco di Lapio, director Liz Farrer, and writers Joel Selner and Alex Wright, follows Amy in her search for a chef to help guide the venture she works for. She tries to woo an Italian chef, but he turns her down, so she enrolls in his cooking school to try to persuade him. And this one, I had kind of mixed feelings about because I found her kind of annoying. I found her kind of pushy and not in an endearing way. And I found her kind of like unreasonably stupid. Like, who in Italy doesn't know that it's called gelato there? Like, you're supposed to be like a food expert and you like have never had basil before. Like, he's like, here's this spice, basil. Like, what? I don't know. Like, she was just kind of dumb, I thought. And I didn't really understand what he saw in her, aside from, she's pretty, sure. But why he was interested in her, I didn't really understand, because she was manipulative. But I really thought he was good. He was hunky and swoony and charming. And of course, Italy's beautiful, but this has to be about the 1,000th movie I've seen this year set in Venice. I just saw Haunting in Venice. Of course, Mission Impossible said, that was in Venice. The Fast and the Furious movie was in Venice. There's some kind of tax break going on in Venice. That, like, everybody is there. And I've been to Italy before when I was 17, but I've never been to Venice. But I feel like, okay, let's go to like another city in Italy, please.
Which is fair. I mean, the thing about Venice is that it's beautiful. It's very like iconic looking. You don't really think you're anywhere else. But
it is nice when like, for instance, the Lacey Chabert chocolate movie that was in Brussels. It's nice when they pick like a little bit different place that we don't know about, And
what they went to Bruges, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so it's kind of fun when we can get to know a different place.
Right.
But
I mean,
that's not like a deal breaker or anything, but I have seen a lot of movies set in Venice this year for some reason. It's really random.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few things that like really took me out of this movie for various reasons. That are probably my own hangups. But it really threw me, like I just was not engaged, I think, in the way I was supposed to be because of that. I also found her annoying, and I really hated that she was promising all these things that she like had no reason to believe she could deliver. I was like, do you not know how jobs work? Like, I'm confused. I also and he kept saying, I'm not interested. I don't want to do this. And she,
he was right. That sounds like a horrible meal plan
job
to put these great Italian recipes to add supplements to them. That sounds awful. Right. And he's absolutely right. Like, you should be getting the nutrients from the food itself. Like, any nutritionist will tell you that's what you should, you should be getting. And also, like, he's absolutely right as well that, like, she's like, you're going to try to sell me pizza as a health food? Yes, pizza. There are no bad foods. There's just food. And it's all about
quantity and,
it's all about, what you eat as a whole lifestyle, as far in total, to be a healthy person. And when we sort of demonize like pizza is like, can be completely healthy. He's absolutely right.
This is one of those rabbit holes that I did, because I was tweeting all of these movies. So where I was watching it and I went on a whole little rant about how it has nothing to do with, what is actually the most nutritious. It's about what is the most nutritious that you can eat. So, there's a whole thing about sometimes because of financial reasons or because your kid doesn't
mean,
eat anything or whatever. McDonald's is actually the healthiest choice you can make.
Well, there's like food, there's grocery wilderness. What do they call it? Grocery wildernesses
deserts.
Deserts. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Desert, where people don't have fresh, food available. And so you make the best choice that you can. Right. And I mean, the biggest problem with a lot of those fast foods and other things, obviously many of them have a lot of calories, but the biggest problem for a lot of people is just how much salt they have.
Yeah, a lot of preservatives.
Yeah, a lot of preservatives, and especially if you're diabetic or have heart, like I just can't eat much salt, so I have to be careful about that. But the idea that that there's certain things you have to sell me on, you're gonna try to sell me pizza as a health food, absolutely yes. And
right. Oh, like I bet you there are a good amount of people who get more vegetables on their pizza than they do in any other fashion.
Yeah.
Because they get like a ham and pepper or something, I don't know.
Yeah. So I just, but I did really like him. I thought he was really great, and there were some very swoon-worthy scenes, like they go on that date. And when she teaches her how to make pasta, that was really good.
Yeah.
And so I did enjoy it, but I just didn't love it.
I definitely didn't love it. It had pieces of it that I liked. And I did think it was visually beautiful. The settings. I also thought the costuming was pretty on point for this movie. It was they looked really cute. But the other parts that took me out is like he fell in the Venice in a canal, which I could not handle. I basically wanted to get up and take a shower on his behalf. I was like, don't do that. Don't go in that. No. And then my other thing, because I have been to Venice. It's been many, many years, but I remember in 2006 when I went with my family and my dad was like, fine, we can take a gondola. And it was 100 euros in 2006. I just don't believe he rented a gondola. They're for tourists who are going to pay that kind of money. And I was just like, don't stop pretending that this is what he would do. He would have his own boat and then he'd take her out on his boat and that would be fine and cute.
Right.
But why are we doing this? We'll cater to the American idea. I don't know. I just was not into that.
Well, and then in his whole fear of anxiety about New York, that could have been developed as well a little bit more, I guess, because he had a past relationship end there or something.
But I got the impression that it was less about New York than it was about the status he had in New York, and he was sort of
I hate New York.
I hate New York because I had a status and people wanted more, or this relationship. It was more about the idea of their relationship and the optics of their relationship than the relationship itself.
Yeah, but I mean, I would give it 3 crowns. But it's a little frustrating because I do feel like it was close, just a few little changes, and I think I would have loved it. Okay. But I didn't love her character.
Yeah, I'm
and everybody's heard of Basil. Nobody has to be introduced to Basil.
Right, especially somebody who works in what were they already putting in there, French food?
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I think I'm more at the 2.5 mark for this, just because I had less of a I don't know. I wanted to really like it, but it wasn't quite there for me.
That's fair. All right. So then we have 3 bed, 2 bath, 1 ghost, Hallmark Channel, Julie Gonzalo, Chris McNally, director Kevin Fair, writers Greg Rosen, Brian Sawyer, Joa Boken. The house that Anna, a new real estate agent, has listed has a spirit from the 1920s that won't go. Even worse, the ghost is afraid she won't be able to pass over unless she reconciles Anna with her ex. So obviously fun, a couple in real life, at the lead here. And they have good chemistry, because sometimes that doesn't translate, but I thought they did well. It's an interesting movie because it is definitely focused like more on the female friendship than on the relationship.
Yeah.
But I actually enjoyed it. Maybe again, maybe low expectations helped a little bit because some of my friends didn't seem as into it as I was. I just watched it today. But I thought I enjoyed the friendship. I thought it was a cute friendship story, and you know, it was fun when they show like her, you know, like interacting, and he's like trying to figure out who's she talking to, what's going on. He's trying to figure it out, and then you get the backstory of the ghost character, and that she'd given up on it. It was the chauffeur or somebody, yeah, and she'd given up, and so that was cute. I know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I mean,
something different.
It was definitely something different. I, you know, particularly loved the ghost character. I thought that she was like
good.
The reason this movie really worked. You know, I almost would want to take out this weird like family like thing that the Julie Gonzalo character had. Like
her dad looked way too young.
I mean, it was just very. I was so confused by this relationship. I didn't really understand, you know, what her dad was. You know, like it almost wanted to be a like I'm trying to make you proud of me relationship, but then like was off somehow, and I was sort of like, either you're doing that or you're not, and I don't understand your dynamic, and because I don't understand your dynamic, I also don't understand this dynamic with this Terrence character, who also like he's like stealing her listings but competing against her, but they work for the same company, and I was just very confused.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And also there's way more than 3 bedrooms in this house.
Well,
title,
because it is a mansion.
Yeah.
Full on mansion.
Yeah.
I was also I did have a lot of questions about this ghost, in that she doesn't seem to know anything that happened in the past 100 years, because she never went outside. But
could she go outside?
She could, but she couldn't. Like it took Anna to get her to figure out that she could go outside. It was almost like we don't want to write ghost rules so the ghosts won't know their own rules, and then they get confused and they don't. That's sort of how I was reading it, of like, we don't want to touch this, so
yeah,
the ghost rules will change and whatever. But she also says her parents lived there for like another 30 years after she died. So I was like, what? Like, no, they never talked about anything, because there was one moment about like she didn't know that like the stock market crashed in 29, and it's like, there's no way
that's true.
that
That's a good
your
point.
parents who own a mansion were not aware and talking about this at some point where you could overhear. Like, I just don't believe.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that, but that's a good point. Good point. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was a nice story, like friendship story. I'd give it 3.5. I liked it. I'd watch it again.
All right. I think I'm at a 3. You know, I thought their chemistry was there. Their kiss was not good. And I'm like, you guys, you have a kid. Come on.
Yeah.
Do better.
Yeah. All right. Last up for Hallmark Channel, we have Field Day. And this is Rachel Boston, Benjamin Ayers, Carnell Emmett, and Shannon Chand Kent. I love her. I can't wait till we can interview actresses again, because I want to have her on, because I really enjoyed her in the big Chinese Christmas movie last year when she lost that money. Oh, I felt that, because I don't think everyone's had that experience in life when you lose something and everybody's mad at you and you feel so bad. And I thought that I just really enjoy her. I think she's great. Anyway, director David Winning, writer Julie Sherman Wolfe, and it follows Jen as she finds love when she joins the school parent teacher organization after she moves back to her deceased husband's hometown. And I had to say, so I actually saw this at Christmas Con.
Okay.
They did a screening of it, and so I saw it in like the most ideal circumstances that you could see it, with a whole bunch of other Hallmarkies. The stars were there, and I go to film festivals all the time, so it's not like a totally new experience for me. But certainly with a Hallmark movie, it's a new experience to see them in a crowd, like that. And I was kind of nervous because I was like, please be a good one, because last year they showed Fabled Holiday, which I thought was absolutely terrible. I wasn't in attendance, but I know that that's the movie that they showed, and I was like, oh wow, that would be awkward because that movie was terrible. And so I was relieved that I thought this was so solid, and I really enjoyed it. And again, another movie about female friendship. These three women, I liked the fact that they were all different and were different versions of moms. Wasn't all the same kind of mom. I think anybody that has kids could connect with one of those characters. I liked the fact that the lawyer mom wasn't really demonized for like being a lawyer and working hard, and she has something to teach the other moms just like everybody else. And Rachel Boston's always super likable. She's good in this, I think. And and I mean, you didn't know that field day was such a trial, such a struggle. But evidently, and I mean, I think planning anything for kids is hard. It's stressful. It's it's tough. And yeah, I found it effective when she gets that video.
My initial thought was like, this movie is called Field Day. Nothing about this movie says that I am going to cry at any point.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
Yeah. And I thought the three women had really nice chemistry, and the fact that they have this like crazy adventure going out to the club in the middle of it was like kind of crazy, drinking their Bloody Marys, and that was fun.
Yeah. No, I think it was really cute. It had, like, I think the title leaves something to be desired. I would rename it personally. But I think it was really sweet. Like, I felt like the kids were the right age, because also I think they're like 5th or 6th grade, like they're right at the end of elementary school. Mm-hmm. So you got this impression of like, my mom's a little embarrassing, but I also love my mom, and I'm not quite at the like everything my mom does is the worst stage of teenagerhood.
Yeah.
And so there was like, it felt like these women were like, yeah, like my kid does like spending time with me, and I want to spend time with my kid, but also they are starting to be a bit more independent and have their own needs. And, I need to have my own life and figure that out and not be sad all the time or working too much. They all had their like thing that they had to get through that I appreciated.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I thought Julie's script elevated it, made it funny, made it just little things like when she shows up at the school in her pajamas, and
when she does that, and it's like a whole thing, and I was like, I'm sorry, like that just means like that's my kind of person. Like, like, oh, you didn't have time to take a shower yet? Cool, me either. Right. We can be friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and they packed a lot of story into this script.
They did.
So yeah, I would give this one pretty high. I really enjoyed it. 4.5.
I think I'm more in the like 3.5, 7.75 area for it, but I'm clearly also not as in a giving mood as you.
I know. I'm just, and also I can't 100% divorce myself from the experience of seeing it,
which I'm sure also makes things, when you see things with other people, I feel like you tend to either love or hate them in a different way.
Yeah, it is. Like, it is. You have to consciously try to have not influence you as much
Yeah.
because you want to try as a critic to, you know, be fair and, you know, not give something a pass just because the star's sitting there, like at Sundance or something. But, you know, we're all human. So our experiences do influence us a little bit, I would say.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
So then we have Guiding Emily in on Movies Mysteries, Sarah Drew, Eric McCormick, Antonio Cupo, director Andy Makita. Emily's life changes after losing her eyesight while a guide dog struggles with training. Through a series of missed encounters, both overcome their obstacles and find each other. So I'm curious what you thought about this one.
So I didn't actually finish it.
Oh, you didn't finish it. Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
So through this is, and I should say it's not the movie's fault I didn't finish it. It is I got an emergency phone call in the middle and I just never got back to it. That being said, I probably watched the first 20, 30 minutes. So that's about how far I got. So she had lost her eyesight, but they still thought it might come back.
Yeah.
And the one thing that like really threw me and like I wasn't sure how I felt about it and I was a little uncomfortable was the fact that they pretended to have the titles in Braille. Because I was like, I don't know why this like doesn't sit well with me. Like this feels ableist in like a weird way that I can't quite put my finger on because I'm not part of this community, but also like of course you can't read that if you can't see. Like why are you doing this? I don't know.
That's true. I didn't notice that, but
that like
that's fair.
And for it to start there, I was like, I'm uncomfortable. You know, it seemed like it was going to be like a, you know, tearjerker women's fiction kind of movie. I kind of saw where it was going.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I did think Antonio Cupo was really good in it as this hunky climber guy.
Yeah.
And the fact he's been in love with her for forever, and there wasn't any sense of like, I'm a great person because I'm loving a blind person. He just was really excited. You know, he'd always loved her. So that was nice. But there was hardly any of the dog. They definitely made it seem like there was going to be way more of the dog.
Oh yeah, no, you want the dog. It's kind of the whole point.
I mean, why get Eric McCormick? They could have had. He was, I mean, just barely in the movie. So that was a little bit disappointing. But overall, I thought it was a sweet little. Yeah, if you want that kind of women's fiction story. I mean, I give it three crowns. I haven't like loved her. Some of them have been fine. I liked that one with Michael Rady, and there's been a few others, but for the most part, this attempt by Hallmark to do women's fiction has failed in my opinion.
I just, you know,
it's just too hard to tell because when you're doing a rom-com or even these mysteries, you can work with the tropes so that you don't need the same kind of character development that you need in these women fiction stories.
Right. These are often based on 300+ page books.
Yeah. You can have,
you do need
like
that.
The Batman of Business or different things like that, where it's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. And we're just going to tell the story and it's gonna be charming and fun. Whereas for these, like, it just always feels rushed. I can't think of a single one where it didn't feel rushed because there's just not enough time to develop these characters. And like, I mean, I say that, but in the past, I mean, most of the Hall of Fames were, short, and they managed to tell, these complex stories. So it can be done. I just think they've struggled in this attempt.
I agree that that it was a struggle, and I mean, having not seen the whole thing, it was kind of like, okay, I know what's going to happen, but also like, I'm sure I can totally see there not being enough character development.
Yeah. So I'd give it 3 crowns.
All right.
Okay. Then we have Come Fly With Me. And this is Heather Hemmings and Niall Mater, director Michael Robinson, writer Denise Farley, Deborah Oliver, Tris Vogel. After landing a spot on the Thunderbirds team, an Air Force pilot must find a way to balance flying, family, and her budding romance with a widowed father. So I really enjoyed this one. If they were going to give somebody an assignment to make Hallmark's version of Top Gun, I think this is pretty good for that. The little girls were cute. I liked the two of them, the 2 leads, nice chemistry. I thought it was sweet. And, and her nervousness about getting involved in another relationship kind of like is understandable after what happened, after, grieving over her husband. That would be very difficult. Yeah, I thought it was cute. I liked it.
Yeah, I think it was cute. I think having this, I almost want to call it a B plot rather than a main one, of like having to go get the heart.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Is like actually was helpful because it like gave it this tension that was not like love story related, that I could be like focused on for a while.
Yeah.
Well, like instead of spending in a whole movie of like, because a lot of these are like, she's just not sure she wants to fall in love again or whatever it is. Like, I don't need that for 2 hours. So having this other like, there's a storm, and and I was like, all right, I mean, it's of course there's a storm, and of course you could somehow fly, so it was definitely like, yeah, okay, give me a break and give me a different kind of tension that like I don't really have to worry about, because the idea that even in a Hallmark movies and mysteries, you're not going to kill a child that we've met like this. Right. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah, it reminded me of that one with Nikki DeLoach.
Yeah, where she was like
with the
doctor, or yeah.
He's the pilot.
Yeah, that was also called like a Fly Away With Me. It also
like
had.
Yeah. So I would give this one 3.5.
I think I'm at the 3.5-ish mark too. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, then we have Haunted Harmony, Mysteries, Murder in G Major. Tamara Mowry, Housley, Marco Gazzini, Iman McCarthy, director Linda Lisa Hayter, writer Arthur Vandelay, follows former orchestra conductor Gethsemane Brown as she moves to Ireland to teach at a boarding school. After deciphering a message, she meets renowned composer who is rumored to be behind the death of his love. So yeah, this one, I enjoyed it. I think it's one of the better performances from Tamara. I thought she was good in it. I mean, Stand to Stakeout's my favorite, but I think that she was really given a lot to do here. My main problem with it was that like Marco is barely in this movie. He shouldn't like be credited. He's got, I mean,
well,
like 2-3 scenes.
I think it's funny that he is billed as the secondary lead, because I thought it was a love triangle situation.
Yeah, this other guy, the other officer, is the main love interest that she's bantering with and flirting with, and I thought, honestly, that Marco's going to end up being the murderer, because it felt like that sleuthing sisters thing.
Yeah.
Where my poor Madison Smith, who I love, was all of a sudden you thought he was going to be like the love interest, and then he ends up being enabling the murder at least. And I was like, that sucks. I hated that. But I thought, oh, is that going to be the surprise that Mark was going to be the murderer? Because he was just not in it very much, and that would fit with the formula for these stories.
Yeah, it would. Though also I find that the new-ish thing that they're doing is they're introducing some character that you think is going to be a throwaway character, and they end up being the killer within like the first 15 minutes. So there's a lot of like I've started to be like, oh, I bet we've met this person before the first commercial break.
This one, the murder itself was pretty grisly.
It was
like, whoa,
like it, because usually I feel like these murders where it's like they try, and if they fail, they're like, oh, that's too bad, I failed. And like then they're like second guessing themselves. And like this woman was like, nope, I think I'll push you off a cliff.
It really was. Like, wow. Yeah, I'd give this, I mean, in Ireland was fun to see. I would give this one, I mean, and the ghost element was fun. I like
the ghost element was fun. I also thought he was the sweetest ghost I've ever encountered in a movie. Like, I just love where he was just like, da-di-da, and like, if I do get to heaven, I'll say hi to your dad, and like, oh, he was just really sweet.
So I'd give this one, I think, 3.5.
I think I'd put it at a 3, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute.
It was. So then we have Mystery Island, and Elizabeth Henstridge, Jason Trent, director Nicholas Humphreys, writer John Christian Plummer, London police psychiatrist Dr. Amelia Priestley, needs to take a relaxing break from her stressful job, so her wealthy friend invites her to Mystery Island, an immersive murder mystery themed resort, hosting a special retreat for the original investors. As the mystery game begins, tragedy strikes when the resort's reclusive founder is murdered. Amelia partners with local detective Jason Trent to investigate. So this one, I'm kind of realizing lately that I don't know if I'm that big a fan of like Agatha Christie type mysteries. They tend to be really exposition heavy and just be a lot of talking, as opposed to like finding the clues and like putting the clues together. And because I haven't really liked any of I mean, they were okay. The Poirot movies that I, like I said, recently saw Honey in Venice. I gave it a mild recommendation. But I haven't loved them, and they've all felt very exposition heavy. Instead of like building up the clues, we just get this long scene at the end where he's like, this is everything that's happening, and here's why, and here's how you should have figured it out. And I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. And then I really disliked The Glass Onion.
Okay.
I thought that was terrible.
I mean, this was
annoying.
Hallmark's Glass Onion for sure.
Like, I thought it was boring.
Down to the island. And
so maybe it's a little unfair because I think it's just not the genre for me. And I just found this very exposition heavy. Like they were, as opposed to, again, finding the clues, it was just like one scene of people talking, then next scene, next scene, next scene. And I found myself getting kind of just distracted and bored and not interested.
I understand that completely. I think I probably then liked it better than you did, because I do tend to like those kinds of movies, in that, you know, I do like to see if I can catch like the weird things that they say it, you know, to see if I can figure it out. That being said, this one, I did get to a point pretty quickly where I was like, I don't care who did it, because none of these people are, I don't like any of these people. So I'm not like going to be disappointed if this person is a murderer.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, I appreciate that they allowed Elizabeth to use her accent.
Yes.
Because I did not like that Plaza movie.
No. Like,
I'm so wooden.
Yeah. She needs to speak the way she speaks. So that was definitely better. And, you know, like, just when it comes down to like they kill themselves situations, I'm always like, oh, that's less interesting to me. Also,
yeah, the reveal was kind of
it was sort of like, oh, well, okay, fine.
Yeah. And it really was just like, I don't know, this long scene of just the detective just explaining everything. And I'm like, what? How did you even know that? Like, how did you figure it out? But he was charming. I liked Jason Trent. I thought he was good.
Yeah. See, I think the difference between this and like
Charlie Weber's the actor's name, Charlie Weber.
The mysteries in G minor series is like, I don't know where that goes as a series. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because how many investigations can be haunted?
Right. Like, I don't know where that goes. Whereas like this feels like she is a like psychologist expert. He could call her in and there could be more there.
Yeah. I would give this one 2.5, 2.75. I mean, I think it's a little unfair because I just don't think it's my favorite genre. And I always try to judge people for what it's, what it's trying to be. So I think if it sounds like, if you really love Glass Onion, if you love these Perot movies, if you're a big fan, then I think you'll really enjoy it. So
yeah, I would give it a 3. I think it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's clearly, Hallmark
just was
budgeted.
Kind of boring to me.
Yeah.
I just didn't love it.
Which is fair.
Yeah. All right. Then we have Curious Caterer, Fatal Vows. And this Nick DeLoach, Andrew Walker, director Paul Ziller, writers Diane Mott Davidson, Julie Kim, and Corinne Marwood. And in the third movie of the series, Goldie Berry, a caterer and amateur detective, is recruited to provide food for a sizable wedding. Let's see here. Sorry. Let me read this again. In the third movie of the series, Goldie Berry, a caterer and amateur detective, is recruited to provide food for a sizable wedding. Jessie M. Cole, the bride, is the ex-wife of Goldie's current love interest, Detective Tom Schultz. So yeah, this one, I wasn't a big fan of the last one. I thought that one was weak. I do think this one was better and maybe the best of the 3. I liked their banter was so fun. And when she pulls out that that murder board decorated with flowers, I died laughing. It was so funny.
Well, there was also this like thing. She pulls this out and she was like, "Oh, and this was just pretty." It's like,
okay, that was so funny.
I'm into this. I am enjoying this series now. I think this was the best one of the series. Yeah. I mean, it helps that like not only do I like Nikki DeLoach and Andrew Walker, I also like them together. So there is that. I did feel like this one was slightly different. You don't often get like one of the detective essentially sidelined for a lot of the
arrested.
Yeah. So I thought that was really like an interesting decision to
and I loved that little side relationship between was her friend and the
Marla.
Yeah,
Marla
and the whole debate is a hamburger a sandwich?
Yeah.
Like, of course it's a sandwich. That was great. I loved that.
Yeah. That was very cute. And I also liked that like this like work rival of this guy is not so evil as to not be a potential love interest for like our heroine's friend.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like you have your issues, but like also like it's fine, don't worry about it. Like he's not a bad guy.
I do feel like they haven't nailed the tone yet on this one, that the sort of the quirky silly kind of aspects of this series, and then they go like pretty violent. Especially the last one where they have her strapped down. She's got to get, she's getting like tortured and stuff. I'm like, oh, but this one, it was still pretty violent.
I mean, his
which is fine.
It wasn't even his. It was her kidnapping that ended up being very violent because he just fell and hit it. Like he died of blunt force trauma, but it was because he fell as opposed to like she was like whacked with a candlestick.
He eats the
right.
peanut.
He eats the avocado.
Yeah, the avocado with the which I didn't know that people with peanut allergies can't have avocado. That's new to me.
I didn't know that either. It's good information to have. That being said, if I was engaged to somebody who had a severe nut allergy, I am going to assume that they also know about their avocado allergy and have told me about that too.
Probably, but it was a pretty dramatic death, and then having her like locked up like that, kidnapped.
Yeah, that was rough. It was rough. Like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I missed why Nikki ended up in a wedding dress.
Because she was pretending to be Jess.
Oh, she was?
Yeah.
I somehow I missed that whole, I'm like, why is she in a wedding dress? I missed that scene.
Yeah, like she was just pretending, like she was trying to get the like confession, because she was like, oh, she escaped. So then when the what I forget what her name is,
because this woman was like, she's just like a sociopath. I mean, to not only like kill a person, but then to kidnap a person just because you're jealous was very intense.
Yeah, it was, and then I mean, it was probably more real, like true to life in a lot of ways, but like to then help search for her, like such a dark thing to do.
So I don't think that they have nailed the tone. I think they still, I don't think they've nailed the tone on this series. I think they still have a little bit of finessing to do, but they were really cute together, and they almost kissed at the end, and he asked her on a date. That was cute.
Yeah, I'm definitely missing the like romance aspect that we had from a Mystery 101.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this, they can work on it a little bit, and this can get to that point. It feels like it can get there.
So I would give this one a 3.5.
All right. I think I would probably give this one a 4. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I just like am
3.75 maybe. I definitely liked it better than Mystery Island.
I mean, it was entertaining. I like them, and I guess the violence doesn't bother me. I don't know.
It's just they just need to work on the calibration.
Yeah,
make it flow,
I completely
work.
I hear that completely, but
Mm-hmm.
I also like his baby partner, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
like
they're cute. I like him too. Yeah,
I feel like they have a lot of elements that they can work with that I appreciate.
Yeah. So that's it. That was a lot of movies which I talk about. My favorite, Notes of Autumn. I really loved it. And then Retreat to You. Those are my two favorite.
I think those are my two favorite Hallmark Channel ones.
Yeah.
And
then Come Fly With Me. Those would be the 3, I think, for me, of this episode. So and Field Day. I love Field Day.
I liked Field. I think Field Day would be like the third. Or it may be on par with Retreat to You for me. Maybe.
Well, let us know if you're listening what you think and how many crowns you'd give all these movies. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And you'll all be live tweeting a bunch of the movies. You've got your show, your episodes. So why don't you tell people where they can find your show?
So we are One Kiss Means Forever, which our podcast can be found on any podcast platform that you are looking for it. And we try to live tweet as many of the Hallmark movies as possible. Since we're going into Christmas, it's now going to be like Thursday through Sunday, and we reserve the right to not attend.
Yes. You need to still have a life. It's okay.
But I would imagine we'll at least get 1 to 2 a week.
Yeah.
There are also 2 of us, so
sometimes that definitely follow them. It's great follow, and it's great episodes. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. If you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews for both of our podcasts. That helps so much, especially this time of year. It really helps with the algorithm. If you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. That helps us so much. It helps people to find the channel. So please check that out. And also we have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can help us, and you can be involved in episodes and in our Facebook group. It's a lot of fun. Please check that out. And then we have the merch store where we've got new holiday designs up at the merch store. So check that out. And thanks so much again. This was a blast. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.